Museum is a place where time does not matter. Looking at the artifacts, we are experiencing the most vivid and exciting moments of history. The program Secrets of Museums on Kazakh TV channel. For all generations, honoring their culture and spirituality, it is important to remember the deeds of the ancestors who sacrificed their lives for motherland and future generations. Kazakhstan remembers the fathers and grandfathers killed on the battlefields of the Great Patriotic War. But for one person, the memory of the war became his life work. For 40 years, he has been searching for the soldiers who died at the front. The graduate student of Leningrad Institute of Civil Engineering, now the professor of the Eurasian National University, Maidan Kusainov, decided to dedicate his life to recover the names of the fallen heroes. The search groups formed in Kazakhstan under his command are involved in the identification, excavation, and subsequent reburial of the remnants of the Red Army soldiers.
Внимание, говорит Москва. Граждане и гражданки Советского Союза.
From 1941 to 1945, 1 million of Kazakhstanis left for the front. Half of them did not return home. The destiny of many soldiers is still unknown. During the war, 12 infantry divisions, 4 cavalry divisions, 7 infantry brigades, and about 50 separate regiments and battalions were formed in Kazakhstan. The legendary 8th Guards Panfilov Division, which was formed in Almaty, was distinguished in the Battle of Moscow. 2 divisions from Kazakhstan participated in the defense and breaking Leningrad blockade, and the 3rd of the Kazakhstani commands fought near Leningrad. Hundreds of thousands of fighters were buried where fierce battles erupted. For decades, volunteers of search units and their commander Kusainov found and reburied the remains of the thousands of soldiers. Everything happened in 1978, when I had to go to enter the graduate school. I had to make the choice between Kiev Institute and Leningrad Engineering and Construction Institute. My father advised me to go to Leningrad, as the 310th Division from Akmolinsk town was fighting there. He was seriously wounded defending the city. My father gave me a map of the fighting actions and said that in the Sinyavina swamps in the autumn of 1941 his division stopped the German offensive and tried to break through the blockade of Leningrad. He wanted to know if there were graves of soldiers at that battlefield and what was general situation there. After all, since that time my father has never been there. I entered Leningrad University, and in the spring of 1978 I went to Sinyavina swamps following my father's map. Sinyavina Heights are small hills near Lake Ladoga, to the south of the current village of Sinyavino. In 1941, it was the stronghold of the German troops. At that time, a threatening situation reigned on the Leningrad front. The second largest city in the country was captured and surrounded by the Germans. There was an urgent need to break the siege of Leningrad. The area near the village of Sinyavina was chosen as a direction for breaching. It was here where the Soviet troops began to concentrate for the main attack. The side that seized the heights would have the ability to control a vast territory. During all the time of fighting on the Sinyavina Heights, the Soviet troops have lost more than 360,000 people. As much as the Great Britain for the whole World War II period. There are some notes from the diary of the sergeant of the infantry regiment. We haven't been sleeping for 3 consecutive nights. We sit in holes. Yesterday we were hit by shell, which exploded 5 paces from me. A dead man flew out of the ground and now is lying next to me. There are whole layers in the ground. Everywhere there are weapons and bodies of those who fought the months before. This is too hard. Porridge with shell splinters, our hair in the mud. Knocked out tanks are around. Only a few soldiers from the regiment remained. We're still attacked by the German shells and we are all pressed deeper into the ground. Soon we will attack and then everything will end. And there an idea was born in my heart to bring it all in order. I thought that we need to create a search squad. It is necessary to attract the postgraduate students and interns of my university. In 1978, the first search party was formed. 90 people set off the expedition. There was a lot of work. Machine guns, broken guns, weapons, and the remains. The first soldier we found with a personal locket was Polyakov Sergei Mikhailovich. There was an address in the locket and we sent a letter there. It turned out that the wife of Polyakov was still alive. After the war, he was considered missing and we found him. Maidan Kusainov spends most of his search work in the archives. This is a daily hard work with documents, a comparison of facts, making maps of fights. And only once a year, the squad of volunteers goes to places of old battles to conduct excavations. It was summer of 2016. The search party is moving towards the Sinyanova swamps. The volunteer Amir Nurzhanov became interested in participating in the search expedition Memorial Zone as soon as he learned about it from the internet. He contacted the project activists and Amir's dream came true. Finally, he set off on an exciting, full of emotional experiences trip. Amir heard a lot about the difficulties of the search work, both physical and moral. Even the experienced soldiers of the squad did not always endure the test. Frightening finds were fearsome to see. But Amir decided to be courageous to this work, remembering that the dead he's making is great and noble. After a long trip, the search squad made the first stop and encamped. They decided to start digging in the morning, but for now, it was possible to take heavy burden off and rest. There are 1,800 search groups in the CIS. The squad of Maidan Kusainov enters the top 10 best groups. They don't just search for the remains of soldiers, but also erect memorial zones. Routes have been compiled, signs have been established indicating each firing point in the area of hundreds of square kilometers and on the battlefields. Members of Memorial Zone erect monuments and obelisks, publish books and guidebooks. A unique project which has no analogues in the world, operates only thanks to enthusiastic people. Search works are financed at the expense of personal donations of Kazakhstanis. The Eurasian University also provides assistance. The expedition itself is financed thanks to the rector of our university. He pays for my and students' traveling and daily expenses. Maidan Kusainov is well known among the search groups across the CIS. His word is law. He is entrusted with coordinating the work of all the squads at the excavations. Kazakhstan's flag is fluttering high above the camp of the memorial zone, and everyone who sees it knows he will be welcomed with hospitable reception. Life in expeditions is severe and ascetic. In the complete absence of comfort, the squad must take provision of food and comply with hygiene standards in the field. The most difficult thing is that the participants can't encamp for a long time and at least somehow get settled. It is necessary to constantly change the locations, since it is necessary to have time to explore many of the planned places. And all the time it is necessary to dig. In the rain and in the heat, knee-deep in the water or in the mud, and attacked by mosquitoes. At the end of the day, the soldiers sit around the fire and spend the evening singing songs and telling stories. They share their impressions about the work. They keep telling mystical stories about the voices and sounds of cannonade in the area where excavations were conducted. Many volunteers in their dreams see the images of fighters who call them to dig in particular places. After that, they always find the remains there. Once, Maidan Kusainov told his colleagues that he saw armed fighters in the forest who walked towards the forest. I woke up early in the morning and saw 14 soldiers walking through marsh. I was shocked. I thought they held some maneuvers. Soon I forgot about it. And then I heard the Russian search group members arguing. One of them explained, "It is true, I saw, I swear. Tell me, what did they see?" I asked. The young man said that in the morning, in the fog, he saw 14 fighters marching through the swamp. Then I said that I saw the same thing. "Let's go there," I said. "There's something important." We went to look for that part of the swamp and found the remains of 14 soldiers in the quagmire. To be honest, they did not have a single locket. We buried all of them together. There is an inscription on the obelisk: 14 unknown soldiers. Impressed by these stories, Amir walked away from the fire. He was about to go to sleep when he saw a young soldier in military uniform. The soldier ran noiselessly past the tent, holding a rifle and a shovel in his hands. He might be one of us, Amir thought, because some of the members of the search squad are also wearing military tunics. But where did the guy get the gun, and why did he run into the forest? Not giving it much importance, Amir soon went to bed. At night, the young man saw a dream that the same Red Army soldier with a rifle came up to him. He bent over Amir, covering his face with a shovel. "You must look in the forest," said the fighter, "in the place where I left." Amir woke up and was very impressed, but he could not admit the thought that the guy he saw the night before and this dream could be somehow connected. In the morning, excavations began exactly in the place mentioned in the dream. The main goal of the search squad is not to find military trophies and remains. Most of all, the volunteers are happy when they manage to find things, thanks to which it is possible to establish the identity of a soldier. During the search work, the most desired discovery is the so-called mortal locket. This is a plastic tube locket. More specifically, it was an ebonite capsule. 2 cards of thick paper are put here, They contain the full name of a soldier, his blood group, address of relatives and friends, of his father, mother, brother, and sister. One card remains in the locket, which the soldier wears at war, and the second is sent to the second department, where irrecoverable losses are recorded, so that the staff could send the death notification to the soldier's home. But not everyone had such a locket. There's only one found among hundreds of the remains. Young soldiers ignored such things. They made cigarette holders from them, so it was more convenient to smoke a hand-rolled cigarette. Only the elderly and believers kept their lockets properly, because they were fully aware of everything happening in the war. The search squad dispersed in a small area of the Sinyanova swamps. Amir hoped to find a person who came to him in a dream. At some point, the young man began to feel as if he heard a double tap of a shovel, as if someone was digging very close. Amir stopped the work. The knock died down. He started digging again, and again heard the thud of a shovel, and it was coming from somewhere under the ground. Amir got frightened. With each new stroke of the shovel, he heard a similar noise under his feet more distinctly. Soon a piece of rusty iron appeared from under the ground. The young man dug deeper and was stupefied. He saw an entrenching tool. It was shot through. A few minutes later, a skull with a bullet hole was unearthed from the ground. Amir understood. It was that Red Army soldier he saw on the eve and who appeared in his dream last night. We found that soldier. On his chest, he had a medal for the defense of Leningrad, pierced by a bullet. Nearby there was a small infantry spade, also punched by a bullet. Apparently, he was on the attack, covering his face with a spade. But in the machine gun, one cartridge is ordinary, the second is incendiary, the third armor-piercing. The armor-piercing shell hit the shovel and the soldier's head. The second shell hit the medal, the third the canteen. The soldier was hit by 3 bullets, and he fell. His medal was without a number, so it was not possible to identify the name. When we tried to recreate the scene, it touched us deeply. We often have to get used to that war. Imagine how things could happen. You will ask who appeared in the dream and whom did our guy see? I think it was a soldier's ghost, which lives in those places. Their souls direct us from above, suggest in every possible way where to look for. Thanks to this, we're not mistaken in our search. Everything that lies in the places of former battlefields helps search soldiers. Even the shovel with its knocking helped Amir dig exactly where it was needed. The volunteer did not believe in ghosts, but he could no longer definitely judge anything. Life is a mysterious thing, and anything can happen, the young man decided. If the soldiers call us, then there's something essential in our work. Sometimes we hear voices, and not only me. These voices as if tell us where to search. In the morning we ask each other what we saw in the dreams. Before, I did not pay much attention to such things, but then I began to realize that these were signs. They give us signs. About 300,000 Kazakhstanis are still listed as missing persons during the Great Patriotic War. Many fell in battles near Moscow, Stalingrad, and Leningrad. Their remains, barely strewn with ground, are found where they were fighting, sitting, and even standing in trenches. The battle for the Sinyanova Heights lasted for 3 years. In January 1944, the Soviet troops launched an offensive and began to pursue the enemy. Battlelands are still littered with killed soldiers' bodies. The fighters are sleeping, the land is sleeping. A great silence reigns in that place. But fire is raging in our hearts. The feet of the fallen ancestors inspires us to make great deeds. Let's remember all those who sacrificed their lives for us. The battle is not over until the last soldier is returned.